Hello everyone, welcome to Finance Sister. This is my channel where we talk about everything related to money and having a balanced lifestyle. So before I get into exactly how I make $40 to $50 on average from the work that I do from home, I wanted to preface and say that this video, the goal is to not compare what you make to what I make right now. Whether it's more or less, that's not the goal. So I want you to feel encouraged and know that this is a starting point for you to be able to decide, am I actually getting paid enough for my time? What is my time worth? What am I doing that could potentially increase my hourly rate to the point where I'm satisfied with the amount of time I'm putting towards something and the work that I'm doing is worth this amount of money? I honestly hate the comparison game when it comes to social media, anything that you see on YouTube. With most of the time it just ends up making me feel like, oh great, that's awesome. Like, I don't make that much money, or how can I do that? How can I provide for my family more? Or how can I increase my hourly income to be able to do the things that these people are doing? Well, this is just a good starting place to help you recognize and evaluate and think about how much your time really is worth. I just wanted to be a lot loud and clear on that. Whether you make more or less right now, it doesn't matter. Neither one are helpful. Don't compare yourself to someone else's situation. Just compare yourself to where you are, what you were doing last year, how much you were making, and where you are now, and look forward and reevaluate and figure out where you want to be. If you don't already follow me on YouTube and Instagram, please go ahead and check me out on Instagram, where I talk about way more lifestyle things. I'm way quicker on updating any new information, and I also show our personal lifestyle of living on a budget and many other money topics. So go ahead and follow me over on Instagram and subscribe, hit the bell for this video. So for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, what do I actually do personally? I do bookkeeping for small businesses, and I'm also a freelance writer for a marketing agency that does articles for independent financial advisors. So bookkeeping, I do essentially everything except for payroll and sending out 1099s at the end of the year and tax preparation. I am not certified to do tax preparation or answer tax questions. So if you have any of those, I'm sorry, I can't answer those for you, but I can give you some information on bookkeeping in general if you are interested in getting into that line of work. There are varying levels of bookkeeping, but for the most part, a lot of what I handle is categorization of transactions, reconciling reports and accounts to make sure that what's coming through the accounting software matches up with the bank statements, doing journal entries, depreciation of assets, liabilities, going through actual reports with the clients, and also verifying any questions that they have in terms of cash flow, how their overall business is doing throughout the year, and making sure that there's no suspicious activity going on. That's essentially a lot of what I do. One of the main reasons that I enjoy bookkeeping is that I think it's worth my time. I'm okay with spending an hour doing something if I'm going to get paid roughly $40 to $50 an hour to do it. And that's part of the job satisfaction that I get out of doing it. Plus, I know for a lot of you, this is not something that maybe you're going to be able to start up immediately, but it's not something that you need a college degree to do or to start. It does take a little bit of upfront cost and getting in with the right people, which I was extremely blessed to be able to subcontract out for a bookkeeping firm where I actually knew the owners. So that was a way that I got started, and I can't imagine exactly getting started outside of that, because that was a really great in and a connection. There are many ways to get money online doing side jobs or side hustles, whatever, to increase your income in order to reach a financial goal faster, pay off debt, whatever it may be. But for a lot of those things, there's YouTubers that will talk about like side jobs that you can start today, which some of those are great. And if you need an extra $10, $20 here and there, or if you're really willing to invest some time to get started, maybe you can end up making $15 to $20 an hour, and that's worth it. And honestly, maybe there's a certain hourly rate that okay, at this point, I'm not going to do the work because that money is not worth it in terms of what I'm giving up in order to make that amount of money. So for things that are like online surveys, sometimes you can do focus groups that can be a great hourly rate, but they're very few and far in between, just depending on where you live and what they are actually looking for in terms of that focus group or that research study. No matter where you're at, I want you to think about your background, your education, your skills. What do you have to offer, and what are you giving up every time that you go to work? Is it worth it going to work for the amount of money that you make? If not, think about what are the different avenues that you need to take in order to get to that spot to where you're making an hourly rate that makes sense with your education, your skills, and your passions with what you really want to be doing, and start making moves to do that. Because bookkeeping and working from home, doing writing, which I just started a couple months ago, the work that I do is something that I've been trying to kind of prepare myself in order to be able to stay at home with my baby, which I am 8 weeks away from welcoming in our very first baby. So excited. But it's something that I was forward thinking of. Like, I knew I wanted to be able to work from home, so I needed to do something that maybe I'm not, it's not my first choice, but it's something that I can definitely feel like I'm satisfied in this work that I'm doing, and it's worth my time, and it allows me to achieve the other goals that I have for my life, which for me is going to be staying at home with my kids, but also being able to work at the same time. Let me know if you guys are interested in me doing another video on similarly what you should be doing in order to increase your hourly rate, or how I got personally started with bookkeeping, and maybe some different avenues on how you could do the same. Let me know in the comments. I would love to help if I can in that way. Just to preface, when I say that I make $40 to $50 an hour, that's because I have a fixed rate that I charge for, depending on the size of the client or what I'm doing. Or with my articles, there's a flat rate per article for those. So depending on how long it takes me to do the work, or whether it's bookkeeping or writing, I might have a fixed rate, or for one or two of my clients, I have an hourly rate of $40 an hour. So that is just a set thing. But that's a larger client, so I'm willing to take a little bit less on that. Plus for writing, I'm a little bit slower because I just started doing that a couple months ago, so my hourly rate is a little bit less than that. But for my other clients that are fixed rate, or for some articles that don't take me as long to do, my hourly rate actually goes up. So that's why I say $40 to $50 an hour is kind of the average. So really quickly, I wanted to share a few things that you might not think of when you're self-employed or a contractor. So with a contractor, usually you need to actually charge a little bit higher than you would with a regular W-2 job as an actual employee, because you're taking on the tax that the employer would normally take, which is usually around 7% for federal taxes. So when you factor that in, my hourly rate goes down a little bit there. And then also, if you are not subcontracting, if you're in an industry where you have a certain amount of liability on your shoulders, you're going to pay for liability insurance, all your equipment, and subscriptions. But thankfully, with what I do, I subcontract through a bookkeeping firm. I give them a portion of my client rate, which my take home after that is the $40. They get 10%. So they are taking on the overhead of the liability insurance, subscriptions, or software programs that we can use for all of their clients that I get to use as well on the clients that I work on. So I don't have to pay that monthly expense. So the only expenses I personally have in order to work from home is the increased insurance for federal taxes, and then also subscriptions. So it's less than $20 for subscriptions though. I have my own accounting software that I use in order to do invoicing and keep track of my expenses, and also writing off miles. And that's also something that I can use to write off expenses. So another benefit with being self-employed is even though you may be taking on more taxes in terms of how much you actually owe the government because it's not being withheld from your paycheck, then you also get the opportunity to write off expenses that qualify for what you're doing. Like if I buy a laptop, I can write that off my income, and that decreases my taxable income, so I'm not actually paying as much in taxes. I hope this video got you thinking about your hourly rate, what you're satisfied with, where you want to go, what are maybe some steps that you could do in order to take that, and let me know if there's anything that I can help with to spark ideas, identify your passion, or different ways that you can increase your hourly income and justify your employer actually paying you that amount of money. Things like that. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button, and I'll see you next time.